Hey, Mike, what do Kelly Slater and PT have in common?
I don't know. They're both world champs?
Nope, they both own Endless Summer box set.
Oh my God, rad. You guys, you can get it too. The link's in the show notes. Welcome back, everybody, to the QuiverCast. This is Mike, your host, and this is all brought to you by YourAudioLegacy.com and QuiverBuilder.com. And please check out my other podcast, The Stinky Booties, I do with my buddy, Billy. Let's roll. Hello, everyone. This is Mike here with the QuiverCast. We have a very, very special guest today, all the way from way down in Mexico, Mr. Corky Carroll. Corky Carroll.
Hello, folks. I'm glad to be here from Cihuatanejo, Mexico.
Okay, so where is that exactly in Mexico? I've never been
Well,
there.
it's really far down. It's almost Acapulco. If you went to Mexico City and took a right and went right to the beach, that's where we're at.
Right on. And why'd you pick that location?
Really good surf, warm water. It's really mellow and tropical here. And, it's a small town. It's just a great place. I love it here. Tranquil.
And then there's like a little left point break out in front of your house, huh?
Yeah, we have a really good left point break in front of the house.
And you're
sort
a
of
goofy foot.
It's a Malibu left.
Is it?
Malibu backwards, yeah.
Man, how good's that? How many left point breaks are in the general area, or you got the only spot?
Well, no, actually there's 8 world-class left point breaks within, say, 3 hours from one end to the other.
Wow, so epic. I've never surfed a true left point break, so I need to. Your credentials of surfing are probably the most extensive that on paper I've ever seen.
It happens when you're as old as me, stuff builds up over like 100 years. So you got a lot of stuff.
So let's start in the very beginning. So, where did you grow up surfing, and how did surfing come into your life?
Well, I grew up in a little beach town called Surfside, just south of Seal Beach. It's a private beach colony. And, with the kids, we played on air mats and skimboards and belly boards and anything that would float. And I started sneaking out the older guys' boards. They would just leave them laying on the beach. They're all big, heavy ward boards back then, so nobody bothered to take them anywhere. So I would sneak them out when nobody was looking and put dings in them. One day everybody ganged up on my dad and told him either he'd buy me my own board or they were going to drown me. So my dad had to think about it. But he wound up buying me a board, and I started surfing.
Right on. And how old were you at this age?
Well,
it was like just a little grommet?
When I was sneaking the boards out, I was about 7. And
okay.
When he bought me my first board, I was 9.
Okay, let me ask you one question real quick, and I don't know when's the last time you've been to Surfside, but is Surfside the same as today as it was back then, the sand and everything, the waves?
Oh, no. Back then, there was hardly any beach. Every winter, half the houses would get flooded from high tides. And they were little old, beach shacks, wood things, and they were all close together. Actually, my parents' house burnt down in 1965. Oh. 3 houses burned down. They were so close to each other. But then they dredged the beach, and there's a big, long beach, and they tore down all the wood shacks and put in big 3-story, multi-million-dollar houses. So what used to be kind of a, beach shanty community is now kind of high-end. I can't even get in anymore.
Truly high-end.
Well, I used to live here. Can I walk through? No, you don't live here. You're out of here.
I've surfed a lot of Surfside. I grew up kind of right there, so I know Surfside well. Right on. Okay, so now you're getting older. You got your own board, and where you moving?
You mean then, not now?
No. You're getting older. You got your own board, and is Surfside getting like inconsistent, and you start moving down south, or what's the deal there?
Well, pretty much surfed out in front of my house all the time. I would get up and be able to surf an hour before school, and then surf from the time I got home till dark, and on the weekends and all summer. So I pretty much just surfed all the time. I didn't really go anywhere until one of the kids in the neighborhood's mother loaded us all up in the back of her station wagon one day and took us down, and we surfed Dana Point and Doheny and San Onofre. It was like, wow, that was really cool. I like that. On safari.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different wave. Who are some of the people you're surfing with? Do you remember those guys?
Well, yeah.
Your friends?
Older guys in the neighborhood. There was a guy named Larry Conroy that lived next door, and his was the first board I used. It was, balsa wood. My first board was balsa wood. It weighed 4 pounds more than I did. It weighed 47 pounds, and I weighed 44. I couldn't even pick it up. I had to pick up the tail and put it in the nose, pick up the nose and put it, and walk it down to the water and then walk it back. But it only had to go about 30 feet, so it wasn't too much. There was, the older guys from Seal Beach would come down. Tim Dorsey and Mike Haley and Robert August and Bill Fury. And those guys would come down and surf in front of my house. And I'd always be like stoked. I'd run and go, hey, you guys. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, going surfing, I'll go out with you. Yay. And pretty much they were all like mean to me, except for Tim Dorsey. He was always nice to me. But like the rest of them, just kind of slap me and tell me to shut up. Go back to my house.
Oh, really? How many guys were out surfing with you guys?
Well, not
Was
too
there
many.
A lot of guys?
No, back
No,
in the
I
beginning,
think so.
hardly anybody surfed. But, going into the early 60s after like Gidget came out, a lot of more people surfed, and guys came down from Long Beach and would surf at the Water Tower, which was just down the street from where our house was.
Anderson Street?
Yeah, Anderson Street.
Anderson. Yeah. Right on. And then, was there any localism then? Were you guys like yelling, get out of here, this is my house? Or
No, there was only a couple of us that lived there that surfed. And, at first it was always kind of like, cool, guys are coming down and surfing with us. But,
yeah.
no, there was no localism. It was way before that.
No. So, okay, perfect. So you were excited when you had met new surfers, kind of. Would you say that?
Yeah, it was almost, like when you're first traveling around, you'd know somebody at every town. It was sort of like, if you went down to someplace, you could spend the night at so-and-so's house. And, you knew people all up and down the coast. It was different back then.
It was different. Do you miss those days? Do you think those will never come back? I mean, those days are long gone.
I think those days are long gone. Now you can know like 5,000 people in every town. And nobody will let you stay at their house.
Or share their waves.
No, they don't want to see you.
They don't have to. What about in Mexico? Does that remind you of how it was when you're growing up, or not? Not quite.
Well, when I first started coming down to this area where I am now, about 25 years ago, there wasn't too many people surfing, but it's got now real discovered, and a lot of people. I can still get a wave, but I gotta like bite people and threaten them. No, I don't do that.
Tourist, or is it the locals there, or both?
No, it's traveling surfers. There's a very small group of local guys that surf here, but really a lot of people come here, especially girls. It's like a girl surfing spot. There's almost always like 80% girls in the water. Okay,
so there's a lot of girls there surfing. That's awesome in Mexico. So let's keep on with that. So you go surf San Onofre and learn. There's other waves out there, and how does that make you feel? Does it make you want to like explore?
Yeah, it did. And then I went to see my first surfing movie. It was in 1958, John Severson's Surf Safari, and it was like, oh my God, there's like big waves in Hawaii, and it was I wanted to start going places. It was like da 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 da.
So, at what point do you start making your way to Huntington?
1957, I built a little rack behind my bicycle to carry my board. At first, I'd ride it over to Seal Beach and surf the power plant and Seal Beach Pier. But then one day I got real adventurous and rode it all the way to Huntington Pier. And almost got killed a whole bunch of times driving through Tin Can Beach, where Bolsa Chica is now, because it was just the highway and there was no
Yep.
parking on the side. And cars would be there just, yeah, almost like nailing me. But I got to the pier and parked my bike and paddled out and surfed Huntington Pier for the first time. It's 1957.
And was that like a shocker to you? Like, were the waves completely different than what you were used to? I mean, they're both beach breaks, but
Yeah, beach breaks are
maybe
different.
a little bigger.
It was
Yeah.
a little different, and there was a pier there, and it was
Yeah.
the first day was at like 6 foot, and the lefts were going right into the pier, and I had to take off and I pull out before I get to the pier because I didn't know what to do, and it scared me. But then one of the older guys, Chuck Lennon, he saw me and he goes, "You afraid to shoot the pier?" I went, "Yeah, I'm afraid to shoot the pier. The big gnarly things, barnacles all over. It's going to kill me." And so he kind of clued me in. He said,
Yeah.
how to go in right below a row of pilings and, come out the other side. And so I started shooting the pier reluctantly. I never did like that.
Reluctantly. How was
never
the first time?
Yeah.
You never like, but you did it for peer pressure?
Was the wave went through the pier. Either pulled out or you went through the pier.
Okay.
So I went through the pier.
How crowded was Huntington compared to, obviously more crowded than Surfside?
Yeah, there were more people out than Surfside, but still back in the 50s, there weren't that many people out, and maybe a handful, and only right next to the pier on both sides. If you look north and south, you didn't see anybody else in the water. You go out on the pier now, you look north and south, and it's solid humanity for as far as the eye can see. But back then, only right next to the pier. And everybody would hang out at the fire ring on the beach afterwards.
After the surf?
Fire ring was the social circle.
No wetsuits then?
No, before wetsuits. Well, maybe some guys had. I don't remember.
So
I don't remember getting one until maybe a couple years later.
Oh, okay. And what year? What year was their first wetsuit? If you recall?
I don't remember. I just remember there was a dive shop up on Signal Hill in Long Beach, and a bunch of us went up there and got measured, and they built us these like long sleeved beaver tail things about a half an inch thick. They would give you horrible rashes. And you couldn't even get them in them without talcum powder.
Oh my gosh. But the benefit outweighed the rash, right?
Oh yeah, it was like God, you could go out and surf and be warm. At least warmer. Remember one time it was so cold, I wore a sweatshirt out in the water thinking it'd keep me warm. It was a great idea until it got wet and almost drowned me.
Oh my gosh. Who are some of the guys in Huntington you were surfing with?
Well, there was Chuck Lennon, and there was a kid that was really a good surfer named Chris Marseille. And he later moved to Newport, really a good surfer. And he was my age, so we used to hang out a lot. And there was also Denny Buell and his brother Sam Buell and Tim Dorsey and Robert August sometimes. Few other guys. Chuck Burgess was a chucker, was a local surfer that was really good. Louis Tarter.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, some of those guys are like beginning of surfing guys.
Yeah.
Like the first stars, right? Yeah, for sure. Robert August, of course. And then being so close to Surfside, did you become friends with the Catons?
Well, yeah, see, the Catons used to make boat covers. And at that time, nobody was making surf trunks except for in Hawaii. There was Imni out at Makaha and Taki in Waikiki who would make you a custom pair of surf trunks. But in California, there wasn't anybody making custom surf trunks. And so one day I walked over and I asked Walter Caton if he could make me a pair of trunks. And he said, yeah, they could. I wondered what they looked like. So I drew out what surf trunks should look like. It's kind of like clam diggers, but a little shorter. And they made me a pair of canvas surf trunks. They fit perfect, but it was heavy canvas. And it was so heavy they would stand up on their own when you took them off. And it was like sandpaper, a horrible rash. So I went back and I went, yeah, these are great, but the material's really bad. So he bought a bolt of what he called shark skin, which was like sort of a heavy cotton. And he made me a pair of these white surf trunks out of cotton, put a couple blue stripes on the side. And they were great. And everybody would see them and go, "Where'd you get those?" And I go, "Over at the camera shop." So people would start going over there and they would make them custom surf trunks. And after maybe a couple of years, they were making way more surf trunks than boat covers. So they went into the full-time custom surf trunk business. But yeah, I got them started.
So you're the guy. You're the guy that went to them.
It's my
fault.
fault.
That's amazing. That's phenomenal. How nice was Nancy?
Oh, they were very nice people. Walter was really a cool kind of a boat captain kind of guy. He kind of looked like the guy on Gilligan's Island, the captain. And Nancy was totally cool. She'd love to visit and talk, and you could always stop years and years until Nancy passed away. You always stop and say hi and wind up spending 2 hours talking. She was fun.
Yes. Yeah, she was a nice lady. So in this, I don't know what years, but I'm going to say that in the 70s in Surfer Magazine, it seemed like all the top pros would stop by and take a picture. Guys like, I can remember like Mark Richards maybe, or I can't, I'm going it from memory. They all seemed to stop by the Catons and
well, it was kind of like,
a picture by the shop they'd all take.
And get a pair of trunks. They always would give me trunks.
This is before professional surfing.
Professional surfing started before that. Yeah, there's this.
Oh, did it?
I love that you say that. There's this belief that there was no pro surfing before, like the pro tour started in '76. But some of us were pro surfers back in the mid '60s. We had sponsors and made money, and there won some prize money. So are you kind of one of the first guys, or the first guy maybe?
Pretty much, yeah. Hobie put me on salary to do nothing but surf in 1964. And then I got a sponsorship from Janssen too. And so I was making my living doing nothing but surfing starting in 1964.
Wow. So how did that even come about? Like you were such a good surfer that you in a good face, or I don't understand. I see why we need money. I see why we need money, but it was your idea or Hobie's idea?
Yeah, it was Hobie's idea. He didn't like me having tools in my hand that I could hurt myself with. So he said, I'd rather have you out in the water than in the factory making boards. So, put the power tools away and go surf. You're more valuable to me in the water.
That's so rad. So you are the first pro surfer then?
Pretty much, yeah.
Of. That's rad. Now, how do you feel about is that a heavy
burden?
I don't know the exact word, but how does it feel to be like to start this world's different now with pro surfing and huge money and big sponsorships, and you're like the first guy to kind of like paid the path.
Well,
kind of cool.
Wish I was making the money that those guys are making.
Yeah. But they couldn't have did it without you, maybe.
Yeah, they should just. Somebody should just pay me for that. It was because I'm good looking.
Yes. Okay. What about so you started doing other things. So you're also labeled like winning like a lot of surf contests. Were you going up and down all around just surfing contests?
Well, there were a lot of contests back then. It was like every weekend there was one somewhere. And I won a lot.
How'd that feel?
Well, I always felt good to win. Never felt good losing. But, it was just sort of like what we did then with all the contests. And, being a pro surfer, it was kind of imperative to compete to keep the money coming in.
Okay. Do you feel like, did you have pressure on you to win, or was it all about fun?
Well, in the beginning, it was all kind of about fun, but then sort of it got a little more serious once money came in and there was prize money and other guys were getting sponsors. So it went from kind of being, go to the contest more for the party than the contest to go to the contest seriously to try to, enhance your pro status so you could make a living. It was more fun before that.
And way more fun, I bet, I guess. So these pros today, do you think they're still having fun surfing? If you could guess, I know you're speculating.
Oh, I'm sure they're still having fun.
Or is it all big business?
Well, it's both, because there's massive amount of money involved. But I'm sure when they go out and surfing, they're having a great time. Otherwise, they, wouldn't be as motivated as they are to get to the top. You got to like to do it. I don't think there's anybody out there going, I don't like to surf, but I'm really good, so I'm going to keep doing it and make money. I don't think anybody's like that. I think everybody's like, yeah, I can actually make money doing this. How cool is that?
The pro surfers today, and they're having fun, even though it's big business. And you believe they're still having fun.
I'm sure that everybody's having fun.
Yeah.
How can you not?
Well, yeah, that's the question, right? Me being I'll say recreational, I've been surfing since I was 10, and I would say 99% of the population couldn't relate to what you did as being a pro surfer and actually getting paid for what you love.
Well, it's sort of like anything, if you're doing something you like to do and you're able to make a living from it, it's pretty cool. Basketball players, football players, guys that like accounting become accountants and they're stoked.
That's okay. But I mean, okay, so yeah, I mean, I
have a friend
I just can't understand.
And he loves plumbing.
Really? But do you think most plumbers love plumbing? I'm going to guess no. But, there's always that guy.
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
But he likes it. We're someplace and there was like a bad smell. And I go, oh man, that smells terrible. And he goes, that smells like money.
Okay, that's funny. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so we're into pro surfing now. Now you're starting to get like you go into commercials and stuff with Miller Lite beer, right?
Oh yeah, that was probably the best thing that ever happened in my career. I was with Miller Lite for 11 years.
Wow.
Bunch of commercials and a lot of appearances and it was really fun. The Miller Lite All-Star guys were totally cool. Bunch of totally funny guys from different sports. And, Miller was a great company. They treated us really good. I was able to fly first class all the time.
Really? Who are some of the guys you were with, doing the commercials with or hanging out with?
Well, there was John Madden and Bob Euchre and Billy Martin, Bubba Smith, Elsie Greenwood, Burt Jones, Hacksaw Reynolds. There was a whole bunch of them.
Okay, so I mean,
Dave Cowens.
Were you guys all hanging out and doing the commercial together? How were you guys drinking beers together, like for reals?
Yeah. Well, there was, like I did a number of solo commercials, just me, and I did some with small groups. There was one with guys with nicknames, Bubba and Boog and Corky and Sparky, and then every year we would do an alumni commercial with the whole 25 of us, and they would always show that on the Super Bowl. It was like I was on a Super Bowl commercial about 7 times. I was really stoked.
A surfer from Surfside. I mean, that's big time, right? You made it big time.
Yeah, for me, it was really big time. It was fun. And yeah, we had all hanging out and had drink light beer from Miller. It tasted great and it had a third less calories than the regular beer.
Are you still drinking Miller Lite today?
I do when I'm in the States.
Oh, okay.
I like it with a lime in it.
Because you got the Mexican taste now, huh, with the lime?
Yeah, I always liked it better with a lime. I used to tell them back then they should come out with another beer with a lime in it called Limelight.
Oh, that's funny.
They thought it was a corny idea.
I bet.
But now they're doing it.
Yes, I was going to say it would work today for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so so the commercials of Miller Lite, and like for a surfer, that's like, I mean, really, you have more coverage than anybody, even more than Slater probably, being in a commercial such as during the Super Bowl with millions and millions of Americans watching.
Yeah, probably then.
I mean, even today. I mean, the biggest game is the Super Bowl, and you're right there. Your face was right there. Your acting was right there. So did acting come natural?
Yeah, I guess so. It's not, I'd always kind of be a ham when they turned on the camera, And actually, what I really wanted to do was do stand up comedy, but yeah, I never could like memorize a whole set. So, but when I do music, I try to tell some jokes and get everybody laughing.
Okay. Do you talk in between your musical sets?
Yes, yeah, I do a kind of a show where I talk in between the songs and tell stories. And
Okay. So what got you into music? Did surfing help you, or are they two separate entities? They happen organically separately.
well, my mother's whole family were musicians. She was a singer, and her brother had a jazz band, and so we had a piano in our house in Surfside. So she got me into taking piano lessons when I was little. But all I really wanted to do was surf. But I spent about 5 years taking piano lessons, so I sort of learned a little bit about music. And then later, I got interested in playing the guitar. So the piano stuff kind of helped with that. And I just played for fun for a long time. But then sort of towards the end of my surfing career, I kind of got a little more serious. I liked it really a whole lot. And Jack Haley owned a place in Sunset Beach called
Yep.
Captain Jack's. And he called me one day and goes, I hear you're playing music. Why don't you play at my restaurant 3 nights a week? And so I started playing there, and it just, that kind of got me going. And then as I kind of phased out of being a pro surfer, I phased into being a musician.
Okay. So, what inspires your songs? Like, are your songs about life, music, surfing, like, or all over the place? Like,
Well, at first they were pretty corny. I would make up these dumb
Okay.
surf songs, and then I kind of got more serious and got bands together that were
Okay.
pretty good, and but all of the songs were always kind of like lifestyle related. Like I did pretty well with a song called "Surfer for President" back in the late '70s, and we had one called "Tan Punks on Boards," which did pretty well. And then I didn't play for a while, and when I got back into playing kind of in the early '90s in Huntington Beach, I went back playing solo. Kind of was doing folk stuff and ballroom songs and stuff like that, and that kind of got me back interested. And then I started making albums again, and it kind of one thing led to another.
you start playing again in the 90s and you open up for the Duke's Restaurant right there in HB, right?
Yeah, I became the house musician at Duke's when they opened, and I was there until I moved to Mexico in early 2000. And now I do dinner concerts at hotels and restaurants where it's people come and have dinner, and then I do a show after dinner. And this sort of led to an album deal I recently got from Darla Records. They put out a best of Corky, and it did well, but they had me do a new one. So I wrote a bunch of new songs and came out with an album
Yes.
called Blue Mango
Yeah.
a couple years ago. And it's available. You can get it on Amazon or from Darla Records or on Apple Music or
Yeah, that's
Spotify, those
rad.
places. And I'm working on another one right now, and it's still, I haven't been playing the last couple of years because of COVID, but I'm just getting ready to go out and start playing again now. And the Blue Mango thing sort of led to a whole nother deal too. A friend of mine from South Bay one day said, Blue Mango, that's a good name. You ought to do more with that. And I'm like, what? And he goes, like make clothes and boards and stuff. I go, yeah, that's kind of a great idea, but I'm 2,000 miles below the border. I don't have any way to do that. Why don't you do it? And he goes, I think I will. So we became partners, and we started a company
Yes.
called Blue Mango Surf. And it's doing pretty well. We're making custom boards, and we have some T-shirts and hats and stuff. And, it's grassroots. It's really fun. And it's sort of part of the deal.
That is, yeah, I see. So you have a website up for that, right? Correct? Okay, well,
Yes, Blue Mango Surf. And you can also get information on my surf trips. See, what we do here at our house is we have people come stay with us, my wife and I, and at our house. And I surf with them, and they, we give them all their food and all their drinks and pick them up, drop them off, and laugh them a whole lot. give them a few corkeritas on the deck, and it's a pretty cool surf trip for somebody that wants a little more upscale surfing adventure than just
How do you
going.
book that? Because that sounds fun. I'll be honest. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It's really simple. You just email me at corkysurf@aol.com. Or you can go to my Facebook page.
And we'll post that on the show notes for this interview, so everyone can see all that. Yeah,
Cool.
I mean, and tell us about the waves out by your house where you're staying. You kind of already did, I guess, at the beginning, but you can tell us again.
Well, the wave here is a real long left point break. On a good day, you could be on a wave for 2 minutes, and I always say I can get more turns in on one wave here than I can get in a whole session at Huntington
yeah, for
Beach.
sure.
And it's a perfect wave. It's an easy wave to ride. It's just like Malibu, but it's a left and about 5 times longer.
And how's the paddle out?
And the water's 80.
Is it?
It's a long
but it's
paddle
well
out.
worth it. If you're getting, 5 waves, you're probably exhausted. I would be.
Well, you don't have to, paddle all the way out. You can sort of peel off on the way
That's
and take
awesome.
off. Some people do that. Some people only surf inside. Some people surf in the middle. Some
Yep.
go all the way out.
Okay, so you said you played at the Duke's restaurant. Did you ever meet Duke?
Yeah, I met Duke back in the 60s when he used to come to, be the guest of honor at the U.S. Championships. And I surfed in all of the first, 7 or 8 Duke Invitationals in Hawaii. And I would talk to him there. And one time I rode out to the North Shore with him and Paul Strow and Freddie Hemmings in Duke's Rolls Royce. That was pretty cool.
Dude, that would be awesome. So tell us a little bit about Duke. I just watched
was
a
a
movie
nice
called
guy.
The Waterman, and it was pretty insightful on his life. Seemed like a really nice guy.
Yeah, that was really interesting. There was a lot of stuff
really?
there
You
I
saw
didn't
the
even
movie?
know about him.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
any insight on just his character, just all around great guy?
Well, yeah, he was like, a Waikiki beach boy kind of, but he was really a great swimmer, which took him all around the world and got him, involved with different people and being in movies. And, he was a celebrity as well as a great athlete. And, he transitioned a lot of eras. I mean, he came from the early 90s.
Yeah.
Early 1900s,
Yeah.
I should say, not early 90s, early 1900s, like 1920 or something like that. I think he was in, Olympics sometime in the 1920s. And he was, stuck around in public eye clear until he died, which was, I don't remember, like in the
Yeah,
like
something
80s or
like that.
something.
Yeah, just an amazing gentleman. Yeah, it's so rad. So
Yeah.
any stories about what you guys did? What was driving around the rolls with Duke?
Well, yeah, the only time I hung out with him was actually driving out to the country that day in his Rolls Royce. Although I remember we stopped for lunch somewhere, and everywhere was free for Duke in Hawaii. Wherever he went, he was comped. I wanted to hang out with him more because I could eat a lot.
Oh, that's funny. And so if he's getting comped, you're getting comped with him. That's rad. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Go to hang out with Duke, you got
Right
free
on.
lunch.
Oh, one more thing. Did you ever play the Golden Bear in Huntington or any of those
Yes, I played the Golden Bear a few times, and I played the Troubadour
Really?
and the Ice House and the Lighthouse and all those.
What was
kind
your
of
crowd?
places.
Who was the crowd coming? Were they all surfers, or were they just everyday guy down the street, or it's a combo of all?
Well, I think in the beginning, people kind of came out of curiosity. He's a surfer.
Right.
He can't be any good at music. There's this sort of thing that if you do one thing good, you're obviously not going to be any good at something else. So like surfers that play music have a hard time breaking through because people want to look at you as a surfer that's trying to play music. And musicians that surf, it's just the opposite. They go, yeah, he's a great musician and he's trying to surf. But there's some musicians that are actually really good surfers.
Yep.
Eddie Vedder's one. And there's some surfers that are very good musicians.
yeah, great.
Tom Curran's one. And
So,
I'm one.
okay, I guess my point is, are you the first guy to make that transition from surfing to music? Yeah, I mean, I can't think of
guess
anybody.
so.
That's why I'm asking. Maybe you've thought of somebody.
At first, people, like I say, would come out of curiosity. And but then after a while, people came because they liked the show. But it took me a long time to. At the beginning, I could play well, but I really didn't sing very good, and it took me years of training and doing it to actually break through. And now I can sing real good. But back when I was first doing it, I was pretty marginal.
Did you get coaching, or did you just kind of practice? Oh, you did get coaching?
Yes, I did. No, yeah, I went through a lot of
How was
vocal
that?
training.
Was that like a challenge, or was it fun, or both?
Well, it was a lot of work. It's just that I wanted to do it because I liked it, and I needed to get better.
And you knew that
to be able to get away with it, and it actually kind of like what really helped me was I started using headphones, and I think that I have problem with my ears, and because once I started using headphones, I just had big breakthrough. I could like sing way better than I can without. And I guess that's when I found out that I needed hearing aids because I don't hear very good. But yeah, so now when I play, I use headphones. I was full on like regular headphones, not the earbud things that a lot of people use, because I really need to hear good. People go, "What are you wearing headphones for?" I go, "Oh, I'm listening to the game." They go, "Really? What's the score?" I go, 75-20. Lakers are winning, and they believe me. Like, yeah, like I can sing a song and listen to the game at the same time.
And some of the guys you were hanging out with in the music business were huge names too.
Yeah, we had some really good players in my bands. Chris Darrow, and there was one, and on the new album we have really good people playing. Richard Steckel plays from the Honk Band, and Brad Fidel plays keyboards. And Brad's a composer that's done the soundtracks for all the Terminator movies and like 200 major motion pictures, and played with Hall & Oates. And Matt McGarrah, great drummer from Orange County. Matt's played with everybody from Kenny Loggins to Honk, and Matt Marshall, part of the Marshall family, playing bass. Dougie Miller from Laguna, the crazy fiddler, painter, photographer. Wow. Good band.
How did you? Are these guys all just friends, or did you meet them like through music, surfing, or just a friend of a friend said, "Hey"?
Yeah, they're all friends, and I met them through both surfing and music.
What about back in the day? Were you hanging out with guys like from the Beach Boys or like any of those era guys?
Yeah, I did some work with the Beach Boys, and became pretty good friends with Dennis Wilson, and so I hung out with Dennis a little bit.
How's he? How was he? And he didn't surf though, right? Or did Dennis surf? Oh, did he?
Yeah, no, Dennis surfed. He surfed.
Interesting.
Yeah, actually, a couple of them surfed. Just Dennis surfed more than the others. So he was
the surfer in the band. Right on.
Yeah.
And then you wrote some books too, right?
Yes, I've written 4 books. And the newest one just came out about a year ago. It's called Not Done Yet. And it's a full autobiography that tells the whole story from the beginning to now.
To where you are currently today. And where can you pick that up? At Amazon or do you sell it directly?
Yes, you can get it on Amazon, or you can get it at Blue Mango Surf.
Are all 4 of your books available there, or just the newest one?
Just that.
What about your other books? Are they like rare ones to find, or
I don't know, maybe eBay or something.
Okay, right on.
But might as well just get the new one. It's got everything the old ones had, and so much more.
Well, yeah, that sounds like. So, I mean, are you talking about like what we talked about, just growing up and digging deep? What does the book get into exactly?
Well, it's actually kind of my whole story from the time I started surfing to that last day that I wrote, which was about a year and a half ago. And we called it Not Done Yet because I'm not done yet.
Obviously, yeah, no. No, you're full of energy. Anything else you've recorded? Is it true that you were on SpongeBob SquarePants?
Yeah, I was a voice of Grubby Grouper.
Grubby Grouper.
Grubby Grouper.
Now, how did you get into that? Because I mean, every kid in America today, probably around the world, to be honest with you,
they just called me up one day from Nickelodeon. Go, hey, we got a character we'd like you to do the voice for. Okay, cool. So be at Nickelodeon Studios tomorrow at noon. So I showed up and I did my voice, and they liked it, and they went, "Okay, you are Grubby Grouper." when my kids were little, it's like they would like brag about me to their friends. Yeah, my dad's a big surfer, and they go, "Yeah, big deal." And he's on SpongeBob. What? He's on SpongeBob? Oh my God! I gotta meet him.
Yes, I would think so. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's awesome. And yeah, so do you think possible? Okay, so let's compare Miller Lite commercials in front of the Super Bowl games versus SpongeBob SquarePants. Where are you more known from?
Well,
more eyes on you.
Probably, the Miller Lite would be, bigger, but as far as kids go, SpongeBob by far.
Yes. Yeah, I would guess. That's funny.
Adults know me
Okay.
from Miller Lite. Kids know me from SpongeBob.
All right. Hey, I wonder if you can find those old commercials. I wonder if they're on YouTube or anything. I didn't look that up. I should have. I'm sorry.
I think there are a few of them. Not all of them, but there are a few.
They should re-release those because those are great commercials. Those really were good commercials.
Yeah, I wish they'd do them again.
They should do a reunion. Get you guys all together.
Definitely agree. Do a Miller Lite All-Star reunion. There's some of us that are still alive.
That would be so awesome. I mean, I think, it should be aired on next Super Bowl. That'd be fun.
We could be in the Miller Lite old folks home, like, some guy lost his teeth and we out in the back would be the graves of all the guys that have passed away. And the shout out at the end that tastes great, less filling, could be the alive guys versus the dead guys.
Oh, that's funny.
That's great.
Brilliant.
The dead guys
you could write the commercial.
Filling.
Oh, that would be honestly. I'm just picturing in my head, and that sounds super funny. And then you're also, because I'm looking at the list of things. Some of the stuff I know, and some I don't. But is it true you're on the Tonight Show?
Yes, I was on the Tonight Show.
So okay, at the time, do you remember what year that was? Let's say 64, maybe.
64. Yeah, I skateboarded on the Tonight Show. I was the first person to skateboard on national TV.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of got the first of a lot of things.
Well, that's what happens when you're 150 years old,
But still surfing. So that's good. And you're not 100.
Been around for a long time.
And then so Merv Griffin's show too, is that true?
Yeah, I used to be on Merv actually quite often. He'd have me on when somebody wouldn't show up. It's like, call me up at the last minute. Hey, we got an opening. Can you be up here and be on the show? And yeah, I'd race up there, tell some jokes or something.
How was Merv Griffin? Was he a nice guy?
Very nice.
Was he business?
Oh no,
really?
He was very nice to me. Treated me very good.
I don't know much about him, but he's the epitome of American TV for sure. So same with Tonight Show, I guess too.
Yeah, Johnny Carson was cool too.
Was he?
Yeah.
And then, how many times were you in Surfer Magazine and Surfing Magazine? Quite a bit.
Yeah, quite a bit.
In the 70s or the 60s or what years?
60s and early 70s. And I actually wound up working at Surfer Magazine. I was the ad director for 10 years.
Okay. How did you come up with that job? Just knowing surfing, or did you know?
No, I had retired from pro surfing, and I moved to Idaho for 3 years. Was playing music in the bars and skiing, and I came back, and I put together a band, and we were playing a little bit, and I was waiting tables at a restaurant in San Clemente, and John Severson called me one day, and they had Surfer Magazine, Skateboarder Magazine, and Powder Magazine. It was a ski magazine, and they wanted to know if I wanted a side job working at Powder Magazine, selling magazines to stores, and so I took the job and did pretty good. And a couple months later, they needed somebody in the ad department at Surfer, so they gave me a full-time job selling ads. And about a year in, they gave me the department to run. So I was ad director for 10 years.
Wow, you're really fascinating. It's mind-boggling. Right on. Thank you so much for joining us this week, Corky. Well, everybody, this is Mike and Corky. We're out of here. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Please follow us on Instagram and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Give us 5 stars if you're listening to us on Apple. And do me a favor and tell a friend that QuiverCast is back. I'd like to thank Blue Factory and Dave Hegstrom for the music. and I'll see you on the lineup. Hey, you guys, Endless Summer box set. This thing is legit. It's authentic, numbered certificate in it. It has a 5-frame film strip from the original print. You will literally own a piece of history. It has a specially minted bronze medallion. Dude, that thing's sick. Okay, there's so much more here. Go to the show notes. There's a link on there. Go check this piece of history out. This thing's rad. Seriously. Smithsonian American History Museum has it. It took 4 years of research with 3.5 in production, all hand assembled. This thing's rad. So much to this awesome box set. Remastered DVD, sharper images than the original film, but dude, this thing's so sick. Link in the show notes.